Hi everyone, welcome to After Class with Ballet for All,
a podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
and some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
Or a cup of coffee.
and join us for a quick chat after class.
Hi, Elena. How are you?
Good, very happy today. What about you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm excited for this episode. I think this is going to be a good one. I know we've talked about how when you're first starting out in ballet, especially, there's just so many things happening when you're in your classes. You're getting a lot of corrections, a lot of feedback, and it can be really overwhelming to know what to focus on. And so we want to do an episode about goals and what are the best goals to have when you're first starting out in ballet. So I think this is going to be a fun one.
Definitely. It's exactly what you said. We give so much feedback, and most of the time when you are in a group class, they are very generical. They are very general feedback. They are not specific of you. When you are a beginner in a group class, you just don't know, oh my God, am I doing the pirouette correctly? Well, you just started ballet. Obviously, your first goal is not doing pirouettes. So you need to focus on what is essential for you. Yeah. And especially if you want to prevent frustration from day one.
Yes.
Ballet is so demanding physically and mentally that if you don't have your goals fully set, and if they are not very realistic goals, then you will get frustrated very easy. Now, what do we think are important goals for you as a beginner? Even if you're not a beginner, you've been doing ballet for a year and you don't see a progression, I think that you need to go back to basics. And to me, the fundamental part of creating those ballet goals, especially for beginners, will be your proper alignment. It's your body alignment. Before you get to do any ballet technique, which will be my second point, put your focus on, I would say you need to really have a good body alignment to prevent injuries, to prevent any frustration of why I cannot do the next step. Well, is your body alignment correct? Is your upper body like shoulders back, proud chest? Do you have your core activated? Is your pelvis in a neutral position? It doesn't mean that you have to squeeze your glutes and you have to like press and push the pelvis forward. No, everybody's different. And Latinas, we have a little bit more of a glutes going down then. Yeah.
Same with Italians, I know. I relate to that.
Like, we have one of our students and she was saying to me, like, I have problem with my glutes. My teacher keeps saying glutes in and glutes in. I'm like, we are Latinas. We can't really be fully flat down there. Like, it doesn't happen. But it doesn't mean that your pelvis is not in their neutral position. It is. It's just learning how to put it there. And the other thing is, if you have your correct body alignment, then you will know what your body weight is. And to me, that's number one before you do anything.
Yeah, alignment is so important. And I think that's a great number one goal for a beginner and really for anyone to go back to even throughout your ballet journey as you're progressing. I think alignment is kind of that home base because ballet alignment is very different from the alignment that most of us are operating in our day-to-day life. A lot of the times our comfortable stance or how we tend to sit is not proper ballet alignment. And so it takes a long time to really internalize proper ballet alignment because it feels foreign, especially at the beginning. And it takes a long time for it to start to feel a little bit more natural, like it comes a little bit easier. But as you said, without proper alignment, you really aren't going to be able to achieve different goals down the line. So that's a big one. What would be something that you think is like a goal that you see a lot of beginners have that maybe they shouldn't have?
Number one is, well, there are a few of them. I would say the most common ones is double pirouettes or even one simple pirouette. That shouldn't be a goal at all for beginners. And I will say why later on. And the second one will be which is a very common comment that I get from every adult that is going to do ballet. I can't do my splits. How can I, how am I going to be able to do ballet if I cannot do the splits? Well, that's not a goal. That's something that comes on the long run. That's something that is the product of doing ballet for a long time. So you just stretch that much, you do that much strength exercises and stretching that you will get flexible. Maybe you won't be like super flexible, but you will get flexible. But that's not your first goal. So
Yeah.
take out of your mind right now doing a full period in your 5th week or 6th week of doing ballet, neither getting super flexible. And why shouldn't be your first goal is if you go to proper alignment and you do that and you get a really body alignment perfect, then you will be able to do a passe with releve with gorgeous proper body alignment. And that is when you can do your periods. But if you don't have that and you don't go back to the basics, then you can't have that goal. You have to make realistic goals, really. And you will get there. You will be doing your periods, but slowly.
Yeah, I think what you said about flexibility too is a big one. Like people thinking that you would either have to be able to do the splits before you can take ballet, or that if you can't, that getting your splits or getting really flexible has to be one of your goals right away. And really, I think a lot of what feeds that is just the visual messaging that we get in the ballet world on Instagram or YouTube, and seeing professionals and, seeing them with their leg up to their ear and these like crazy high arabesques, and thinking that that is something that is more important than it really is. We were talking earlier about how if you look at pictures of ballerinas from, the 1950s, the 1930s, like their arabesques were like 90 degrees max. Like that has just gotten so much more acrobatic in recent years than it ever was before. And that really high level of flexibility and hyperextension and hypermobility is not essential for being able to do ballet, and it definitely shouldn't be a goal as a beginner dancer, because if that's what you are fixating on, you're probably going to sacrifice things like your alignment and things like proper technique in trying to achieve that prematurely. And like you said, that comes with time. So I think that that's a really important call out, is to not be so focused on making flexibility a goal at the beginning of your ballet journey.
Especially if some of your goals should be to be safe and healthy as you're doing all these. So your proper alignment is not only to improve your technique, it's not only going to boost your technique, but it's also going to help you to prevent injuries. So that's why we spend that much time right now just talking about proper alignment. So as a second goal, I would say, Hannah, basic technique. And we talked about this a little bit. And to me, basic technique would be to be able to do the basics of développés, tendus, maybe not développés yet, jetés, maybe rond de jambe, which is already really demanding. Now, you mentioned something of people sometimes trying to go really, really fast on the exercises and lots of repetitions. And I wouldn't call that basic technique. And you were mentioning how important it is, rather than going that fast, actually slowing down and taking the time to learn, again, the proper alignment and the proper movement and how it goes and how it's meant to do. So can you comment a little bit more, Hannah?
Yeah, I think this is something that we see a lot, and I used to see this a lot too when I would teach salsa, is that people, and I get it, you hit a certain point where maybe you're feeling a little bit bored, or you're feeling like you're not progressing as quickly as you want to. And so people start wanting to do things faster before they have clean technique to support it. And I think also in ballet, this can happen because a lot of times there's limited, especially in person, there's limited classes. And so you might have to take a class that's a little bit more advanced just because there isn't a class that's more at your level. And so you end up having to do things faster than you're comfortable with, or faster than what you can cleanly execute. But I think it's so important, if you're not getting it in class, to make sure that at least at home you're really taking the time to focus on doing things very slowly and very cleanly before you are setting the goal of increasing the speed at which you're doing exercises. So, like doing really slow, really slow, clean tendus before you're doing really quick tendus. Um, Even things like, glissade, which is a small jump. So it's like, yes, it has to be fast to some degree, but really breaking it down slowly at home. So that way, when you are needing to do them faster, you can do it with proper technique. So I think that is a really good goal for beginners, is to focus on doing things slowly and cleanly.
The next thing to have in mind is strength and flexibility. So now you have proper body alignment, your technique, you're working with clear movement, you're clean, you're slow, you're perfecting and mastering that technique. Then you're gonna start focusing a little bit more on strength and flexibility, because you will get to that point where you feel like, oh, now that I'm getting on the releves over one leg, my ankles or my calves are not strong enough to hold me as I'm up there. But at this point that you have correct body alignment and good technique, then you can increase maybe the repetitions. So that would be the strength. You can increase the more, not just more repetitions, a little bit faster. Then you can lift your legs a little bit higher, and that would be that flexibility coming up from your warm-ups all the way into the ballet class. But it's not your number one. That wouldn't be something that this is going to be my goal to get very strong and flexible. No, get technique, get a good body alignment, and then you can get stronger and you can start working on that flexibility and taller, higher legs on your development. Now is the point, and not before that.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, especially when you're a beginner, but even not. I think just in general, it's really good to set specific goals or intentions before your classes, because it's impossible to mentally juggle, 25 different things in a class. And so I know for me, sometimes if I'm struggling, like if I feel like I'm just having a week where my alignment is just feeling off, I just decide that for that week, that is going to be my intention for the class, and my goal for the week is to really just be mindful of the alignment. And, that's something that's just in my own head, but it's something that I am consciously focusing on every class that I take that week. And I think, especially for beginners, it's really important that you're setting your own goals and not just letting the class kind of dictate to you what you need to be doing in that class. Because like I said, it's going to be impossible to take in all the corrections, try to, get all the feedback. Like you're just not going to be able to do it. And so kind of taking control in that way and saying like, okay, I can't focus on 15 things going into my classes this week. So I'm going to pick one thing, maybe two things, that those are my goals and my intentions for the week and for this class. It kind of gives you the ability to actually really focus on working on one thing rather than feeling super scattered and like you're not focusing on anything because you're so scattered.
Exactly. Narrowing down to what is important to you this class, this week, today. Yeah, it is good. And it's like we keep talking about that, and you mentioned it already. When you get to the ballet class, your teacher is giving all these full-on feedbacks. Open your chest, body weight forward, hips forward, the piqué, lift the leg and the plie, deep plie. And you're like, but which one is to me? Well, maybe all of them are for you as well. But how would you know? How would you have to narrow down to today? Let's focus on that demi plie. Now, I would say the next thing to have in mind, which we talked about a little bit, is body awareness. Yeah, so which comes back to proprioception, that word that is very difficult to say, but somehow I can pronounce it. So you really need to be aware, because once you have your body alignment correct body alignment, then you have good technique, then you have a strength and flexibility. You do nothing if you don't know what your limbs are.
there was this one teacher that I've taken class from a couple of times, and she's a really big in the salsa world, but she's funny. She used to yell in class, like she used to yell, "Turn on your brain, turn on your brain." And what she meant by it is really in class, like even when the music's going and there's other things, developing the ability to really have your brain turned on and to really be thinking about, okay, my leg feels like it's stretched, but is it actually stretched? Because like that's a huge one for me. A lot of times when my leg is in arabesque, like if I'm not really paying attention, I'm like, oh yeah, my leg's straight. And then I'm like, no, it's not straightened. And like being able to feel and have that awareness of what does it really feel like when my leg is stretched? What does it really feel like when I'm pulling up in my hips the way I'm supposed to? And so I think it's like you can't turn off your brain in class, because you have to have your brain activated to be thinking, okay, how is this supposed to feel? Where is my leg actually? What are my hips actually doing? Like it's I think dancers you have to be really smart. Like a lot of times, you know, you hear about these like professional ballerinas that are like also have all these other crazy accomplishments and achievements going on. And I'm like, I'm not surprised, because you really, I think, have to be smart to do ballet, because you have to think about so many things. And yeah, that body awareness is really one of them. So whenever I think of body awareness, I think of having someone yell, "Turn on your brain."
Yeah, true.
Not the nicest way to say it, but it helps you remember. So
I love it. We talked about like making realistic goals. And I think that will connect to avoiding being overwhelmed. We talked about it from the beginning. There is so many corrections, so much to learn. Everything is different from day one. So rotating from the hips, balancing over one leg, but not on your heels, but on the toes. And all that is happening at the same time. So that's why you need to slow down, sit back, breathe, and set realistic goals, measurable goals, simple goals as, can I balance over one leg without relevant? Can I do that first? If you can do that, you will be able to do unrelevant. Then, in 2 weeks' time, you did strengthening exercises for your ankles. Then your next realistic goal will be maybe not 2 weeks, but maybe 3 or 4, because it depends how much strengthening and flexibility exercises you did for your ankles and your calf. You will be able to do 2 seconds to stand over your releve, over one leg in good PL passe. Maybe it's not even turnout. Maybe your passe is just parallel. Yeah, so those are very realistic goals that will help you to not be super overwhelmed, which is really important with ballet. The frustration, I presume that it will be from day one. Like, I can't do anything, but one day it clicks and one day it happens.
yeah, consistency over time is key for ballet. Because it's so easy to give up at the beginning, especially. But hopefully this episode is helpful, because we really, I think for both of us, like we love it so much, and we want other people to be able to be in it for the long haul, and to have the joy of seeing themselves grow and of meeting their goals. But really the best way to avoid getting frustrated and burning out is by setting goals that are doable, setting the right goals. That's really what's going to help keep you motivated to stay in it. Because bad goals that aren't achievable, that's a quick route to getting frustrated and feeling like it's not worth it. But we definitely don't want that for anyone. We want everyone to enjoy ballet as much as we do.
Yeah, and celebrate your small victories along the way. Yeah, definitely. And we will see you soon. See ya. Bye. Thank you for listening to After Class with Ballet for All.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.